In today's video, we're going to see if Chinese speakers can read Japanese. I know someone's gonna ask, why written Japanese? Why not spoken Japanese? Well, let me save you some time. They don't understand it, unless they've specifically learned it. A long time ago, I made a video comparing the Chinese and Japanese languages. The overall message was that Chinese and Japanese come from completely different language families, but because of China's historical influence on Japan, many Chinese characters and the vocabulary they represent were adopted into Japanese. Their pronunciation developed differently in Japanese and in modern Chinese languages. So in Mandarin, this word is pronounced
语言,
while the equivalent word in Japanese is pronounced gengo. Both words mean language and consist of the same two Chinese characters, but the characters are in a different order and they don't sound the same. I think this gives a small preview of what it's like to read Japanese as a Chinese speaker and vice versa. You'll often see the same or similar characters, but used in different combinations with no idea how they're pronounced. In this case, the words mean the same thing and consist of the same characters, but in many cases, the meanings are more different and harder to guess. And in many compound words like this, one character will be the same, but another will be different. Like in this Japanese word meaning test or exam, shiken. The Mandarin word is
测试,
one character is the same and has the meaning of test, while the other is different. This one in Japanese means test as well, and this one in Mandarin means measure, in both languages. This exact character isn't used in Mandarin. It's a simplified form of this traditional character, which has a different simplified form in the People's Republic of China. That's right, some characters in both Japanese and Mandarin have been simplified, but often not the same characters, or they've been simplified differently. It'll be interesting to see how well Chinese speakers understand characters that take a somewhat different form from the ones they're used to. Of course, another major difference is that Chinese is written entirely in Chinese characters, while Japanese is written using a combination of Chinese characters and the Japanese syllabaries, hiragana and katakana. Generally speaking, Chinese characters indicate the core meaning, while grammatical words and inflections are written using hiragana. Like in this classic example of mine, a Chinese speaker with no knowledge of Japanese would read all of these sentences as something like cat blah, fish blah, food blah blah. But this is all theoretical. It'll be interesting to see how well Chinese speakers can read Japanese in practice. So let's talk to some native speakers of Chinese and show them some Japanese sentences. And something tells me there are going to be a lot of little surprises along the way. Now let's talk to some Lang-focused viewers who are fluent in Chinese, specifically Mandarin. The topic of the video is to check how well Chinese speakers can read Japanese. So I want to show you some slides with sentences in Japanese, and you can read them and try to tell me what you think they mean. How would you read this sentence?
Well, it's something to do with toilet paper, maybe. Like, I guess it's necessary to prepare the toilet paper before you go to the toilet, but that, or maybe not prepare, it's bring the toilet paper.
I see. So here's the meaning in English. I need a stamp to send this letter.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Word for word, this Japanese sentence is, this letter, object marker, send, to, topic marker, stamp, subject marker, necessary, copula. Two of the words with Chinese characters mean the same thing in Chinese, but the other two are different. These two characters mean hand and paper, and together they mean letter in Japanese. But as Channing said, in Chinese they mean toilet paper. These two characters mean cut and hand, and together they mean stamp in Japanese. But how about in Chinese? But how would you interpret this if you saw this in a Chinese text?
Well, that's just like you cut your hand. But actually we don't say that like this.
Let's check with one more person before we move on to a different sentence. Okay, so have a look at this sentence and tell me what you think it means.
Okay. So I see something like about paper and hand and cutting hand is necessary. It's not necessary cutting your hand to send papers. I don't know.
Okay, right. That's an interesting answer. So let's have a look at what it really means. I need a stamp to send this letter.
Oh, okay. I see.
Right.
That is very interesting. Yeah, of course, this answer doesn't make any sense, but it seems like, okay, the way they say stamp is some hand paper, and to send is to cut hand.
Actually, the first word, tegami, hand plus paper, that's letter. So the other one that you were talking about, cut hand, that one means stamp.
Oh, Yeah, that yeah, because like cut hand it because like that in Chinese means it's like a verb, so I wouldn't interpret it as a noun for stamp.
Now let's try another sentence with some new participants. So, how would you read this sentence?
So I think in English means my mother is nervous because she eats something. I don't know.
Okay, so here's the translation.
Oh.
My daughter stutters when she gets nervous. So it's interesting, you said mother, right?
Yeah,
So that first character in Japanese actually means daughter.
that's so weird.
Word for word, this Japanese sentence means daughter, topic marker, be nervous, if or when, stutter. This word with two characters has the same meaning of nervous in Chinese, but the other ones are different. How would you read this?
Okay. Something about a woman that is nervous and maybe she's eating something, I guess.
So it means this: my daughter stutters when she gets nervous.
Okay. Okay, I see now. Well, based on the kanji here, because I seriously don't know anything about Japanese letters, I can only guess the meaning based on kanji. And the only kanji I'm seeing here is this one, which in Chinese means to eat. So that's why I said something about eating. But in Chinese, when we describe somebody stutters or somebody has stuttered, we usually refer to it as 口吃, which includes this letter here. But we have the left part of this kanji as another word.
Let's try another sentence. How would you read the sentence?
I see the word for trying and like trying really hard or something like that. But the last three kanji, this one is something that actually every Chinese know. It means something different in Japanese. Probably it means something like it doesn't matter or asking people, are you okay? Something like that. But it means like sort of a masculine man, something like that in Chinese.
In Japanese, this word is daijoubu, which means okay or all right.
You don't have to try so hard, it is okay, or is it something like that? Or
Here's the English translation. It's okay if I don't study for the test.
yeah.
Word for word, I would translate this sentence: test, genitive marker, study, object marker, even if I don't do, okay, copula. Jia interpreted this word as try in Chinese, but I believe it often means experiment, as opposed to test in Japanese.
So like the experiment is not going too well, not too bad, everything's all right. Okay.
Like the experiment is not very good, or the experiment is just so-so, but like it's okay.
So the meaning is, it's okay if I don't study for the test.
It's test.
The two characters in this word for study also communicate something different in Chinese. So in Japanese, this word means study. But how would you describe the meaning in Chinese, just of this word?
Like to try something that you can barely do, or try something that's probably a bit too hard for you.
Not being able to read the Japanese hiragana parts makes this sentence unclear as well.
Studying this exam is a piece of cake.
Webster seemed familiar with the Japanese meaning of the Chinese characters and guessed the context of the test being easy. But without being able to read this word, he didn't catch the negative meaning, as in, I don't have to study. So we've seen that a lot of Japanese sentences are unclear and that Chinese speakers can only get part of the meaning, but sometimes it seems much clearer. All right, so how would you read this sentence?
Think he's good at cooking.
Okay, right. That's what it means. He's good at cooking.
Oh, damn.
You're good at cooking? Right. It probably is he, yeah.
Word for word, this sentence is he, topic marker, cooking, subject marker, skilled. This character meaning he has a somewhat different meaning in modern Chinese.
I should have noticed, because I think I read it in an ancient Chinese text, but now we don't use this word for he. I think now it's more like a word meaning that.
In Japanese too, it does have that general meaning of that or third person, and together with the kanji meaning woman or girl, it means she, but by itself it means he. This word means cooking in Japanese. In Chinese, it originally meant to arrange or to handle, but now also has the meaning of cuisine or cooking. This word is composed of the characters for up or above plus hand. In Japanese, it means skilled or good at. In Chinese, it has various meanings, like to obtain or to start to do something.
I don't really know the word of that two characters, but I would know what the sentence mean.
For the word itself in Chinese, I don't know. It's like means when you start to do something, like when you like pick up something, because the first word means up, the second means hand. Like you pick up something when you start to do something.
Despite the different meaning of this pair of characters, it seems like it was easy to guess from the context. After showing the participants those simple Japanese sentences, I decided to show them some more advanced sentences, and the results were quite interesting. Okay, how would you read this sentence?
Wow. Okay, there's a fair bit of Chinese in there. So the first word I see is like refugees,
That's
like
right.
people that are in difficulties. And then the second word is like themselves. I'm not very sure. And then reach some country and then come back. I don't know how to make out of that, but I would imagine seeing this in like news articles, or also just because there's so much like Chinese characters in there, it gives me a more formal feeling.
Right, I think you got the main meaning of it, which is like this. The refugees are going back to their own country. So it was pretty close.
That's cool.
You basically got the general meaning of that sentence. Word for word, this Japanese sentence is refugees, topic marker, themselves, possessive marker, country to going back. All of these characters have equivalents in Chinese, but some have different simplified forms, of course. This Japanese character is actually a simplified form of this traditional Chinese character, but simplified Chinese has a further simplified form.
The Chinese character is not spelled like that, but it's looking very similar with the character gui. Like if you only look at the left side of it and the top side of the right part, and that's why I guessed it has something to do with like going back.
It seems like readers of simplified Chinese have little trouble understanding traditional Chinese characters, or Japanese characters that have been simplified differently. This word here meaning themselves caused some confusion though.
After that, it's just a bunch of characters that I recognize, but really like don't make much sense when they're connected together.
These characters mean self plus part or division, and are recognizable to Chinese speakers, but aren't used together with the meaning of self. This third character is used here as a plural marker, but in Chinese it means to reach or arrive at, a meaning it also has in Japanese.
Okay, so the first two characters, I suppose they mean the same thing. In Chinese, they mean refugees, and the refugees arrived in, or actually returned to a country, and perhaps by themselves.
My refugees come back to my own country.
I think you got the basic meaning. The refugees are going back to their own country. Even though the meaning of this sentence wasn't completely clear, it seems like the participants actually had an easier time reading it than the casual sentences. So let's try an even more advanced Japanese sentence.
Okay, this one is comparatively much easier. So Japanese natural resources, actually domestic natural resources, is insufficient or not enough. And the economic development of Japan depends on export, yes.
Okay, right. I think you basically got this meaning perfectly. Because Japan has a lack of natural resources, it relies on exports for economic development. Word for word, this sentence is Japan, topic marker, nature, resource, genitive marker, lacking, country, so, economy, development, genitive marker, for, topic marker, export, on, rely. Most of the Chinese characters in this sentence are easily readable to Chinese speakers, even though in this word the characters are fairly different in both traditional and simplified Chinese.
Japan as a country is lacking in the natural resources, so their economic development is very dependent on imports. Really, imports? That looks like exports.
Yes, it's exports. I guess imports would have made more sense, so I should have chosen a different sentence or changed it to imports. Also, this word normally has a slightly different meaning in Chinese. This word means exports. Do you have a similar word in Chinese?
In modern Chinese, it means output.
But overall, this sentence seemed relatively easy for everyone to understand.
Yeah, I think I definitely understand much more from this sentence.
Let's try one more formal sentence. How about this one?
So I see university, content of education, words, the kind of facility is extraordinarily great.
Okay, right. Yeah, that's the basic meaning. There's one thing in there that you might not catch because it's more of a grammatical feature, but we'll see that in a second. This university has exceptionally good facilities, not to mention its educational content. Word for word, this sentence is this university, topic marker, education, content, topic marker, not to mention equipment or facilities, also outstandingly excellent. So the kanji in there, or the Chinese character in there for say or word, in this case, it means like not to mention, which emphasizes one thing in the sentence, right?
Interesting. Sounds nothing like Chinese.
Right. This compound word and the following word means something like outstanding and excellent. So the translation here is exceptionally good. So would it be similar in Chinese?
So no, first the word are like written kind of differently. So the exceptionally, the word you're highlighting right now, the first character is not sin, but it looks like the character ba, and ba chun, with that's how you pronounce it, the two characters you highlighted there, it's kind of giving me a feeling like that's outstanding. And then the character that's following right after the exceptionally, that also is not something I'm familiar with. However, it looks like, give me a feeling of, oh, could it be a traditional version of the yo, which means like good, exceptional, great, kind of. Yeah, so that's why I guessed.
Okay, so how about this one? What do you think this means?
So I want to talk about our college teaching context, and the equipment is super good or extraordinary. Yeah.
The results of this experiment were actually not so different from what I was expecting, but I still found them fascinating. Native speakers of Chinese are definitely able to look at written Japanese and understand some of its meaning based on the Chinese characters. Of course, they can't read the sentence smoothly because of the Japanese hiragana or katakana words and because the word order is different, but they can pick up some clues and put together the general meaning of the sentence. And the more Chinese characters there are, the more clues they can pick up. I think that's why they can often understand more formal and advanced Japanese sentences better than simple ones. But it's still Japanese, of course, and there will usually be some hiragana or katakana words that leave a gap in the meaning. Whether or not those words are essential for understanding will depend on the sentence. Of course, in this experiment, I only gave the participants single sentences, not longer pieces of writing. The longer it is, the more difficult it will be to understand everything, because there are more gaps in meaning, more chances to get stuck or confused. But I still think it shows how helpful kanji are for Chinese learners of Japanese, and also how helpful they are for basic written communication. This is a true story. Once I was on a bus from Beijing to the Great Wall of China, and I had a long conversation with the man next to me using Chinese characters. I would write kanji on my smartphone and show it to him, and then he would write Chinese on his phone and show it to me. It wasn't smooth, and there were some confusing moments, but we communicated, and that was a mind-blowing experience. If you're a native speaker of Chinese or Japanese, how well can you read the other language? Did the experience of the people in the video seem similar to yours? And to other people, are there any languages you're able to read to some extent without having studied them? Tell us about it in the comments. And now it's time to give a shout out to all of the LangFocus Patreon supporters, especially the ones whose names appear on the screen. They're the top tier Patreon supporters, so let's give them a round of applause. If you liked this video, then be sure to check out this one. I'm sure you'll find it just as fascinating or even more.